One of the most overlooked details in the temptation of Jesus is not what Satan said, but when heaven responded. After 40 days of fasting, hunger had weakened his body. Satan arrived at the moment of physical vulnerability, offering shortcuts, spectacle, and power. Yet heaven remained silent. No angels intervened, no divine relief came. Only after the temptation ended does Scripture say, "Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him." Why did angels wait? To understand this, we must first understand what was truly at stake in the wilderness. This was not merely a personal test of Jesus' self-control. This was the opening confrontation between the last Adam and the serpent. What failed in Eden would be corrected in the wilderness. What was lost through disobedience would be restored through obedience. Angels did not help Jesus during the temptation because the temptation itself had to be faced as a man. Jesus did not come to defeat Satan as God alone. He came to defeat him as a fully obedient human being, empowered by the Spirit and grounded in the Word. Philippians tells us that Jesus emptied himself, taking the form of a servant. That self-emptying did not remove his divinity, but it did limit how he exercised it. The wilderness was not about proving power. It was about proving obedience. If angels had intervened during the temptation, the victory would not have belonged to humanity's representative. It would have been divine interference, not human faithfulness. The test required Jesus to stand where Adam fell without external rescue. This is why every response Jesus gives to Satan is rooted in Scripture. He does not command angels. He does not display glory. He does not call fire from heaven. He simply says, "It is written." The word becomes his weapon. Obedience becomes his authority. Angels serve God's order. They do not override it. Hebrews tells us that angels are ministering spirits sent to serve those who inherit salvation. But they serve after obedience, not instead of it. In God's economy, angels do not rescue us from tests that are meant to shape us. They strengthen us after faith has been exercised. This principle appears throughout Scripture. Abraham lifts the knife before the angel speaks. Israel steps into the Red Sea before the waters part. Daniel enters the lion's den before angelic intervention appears. Heaven responds when obedience is completed, not when fear demands relief. Jesus' temptation follows this same divine order. There is also a legal dimension to this delay. Satan's accusations operate on legal grounds. Had Jesus relied on angelic intervention to escape the test, Satan could accuse him of bypassing the conditions required of humanity. The victory would be incomplete. But when Jesus resists temptation without angelic aid, Satan's claims collapse. There is no accusation left to stand on. This is why Satan departs before angels arrive. The enemy leaves because the test is finished. The verdict is settled. Only then does heaven move to restore and refresh. Angels did not come to help Jesus fight the devil. The fight was already won. Angels came to minister, not to battle. Their role was restoration, not resistance. This distinction is crucial. Jesus defeated Satan with obedience. Angels responded with provision. This reveals something deeply comforting and deeply challenging for believers. God often allows us to experience the full weight of temptation, exhaustion, and pressure without immediate relief. Not because he is distant, but because he is forming something eternal. The delay of help is not abandonment, it is purpose. Jesus' hunger was real. His weakness was real. His exhaustion was real. And yet heaven waited. This tells us that spiritual maturity is not measured by how quickly God rescues us, but by how faithfully we stand. There is also a prophetic dimension to this moment. Jesus refused to turn stones into bread, even though he had the power. Later, he would multiply bread for others. He would feed crowds, not himself. Angels waited because Jesus chose obedience over self-preservation. Heaven honors that choice. The wilderness teaches us that provision follows purpose. Angels came when the temptation ended because the season shifted. Testing gave way to strengthening. Resistance gave way to restoration. The same body that endured hunger was now sustained by heaven. This moment sets a pattern for the entire ministry of Jesus. He does not escape suffering, he passes through it. Angels appear again in Gethsemane not to stop the cross, but to strengthen him to endure it. Heaven never interferes with redemption. It supports obedience. This truth dismantles a shallow view of faith that expects instant relief at the first sign of struggle. Scripture does not promise the absence of testing. It promises the presence of God within it. If angels waited until after the temptation for Jesus, believers should not be surprised when help feels delayed in their own wilderness seasons. The delay is not denial, it is divine order. And here is the final and most powerful revelation. Jesus stood alone so that we would never have to. He endured the test without angelic intervention so that, through him, we could receive grace, mercy, and help in our time of need. Angels waited because redemption was being secured. If this teaching expanded your understanding of Scripture, like this video, subscribe for more deep biblical insights, and share it with someone walking through a wilderness season. Stay rooted in the Word. Obedience still moves heaven.